Hey everybody, Jason Franks with Games for Gaijin here. Sorry for the delay in uploading a new video, but my wife and I are traveling in Hong Kong. We're heading up this very intense cable car right now next to the Hong Kong airport to go see one of the largest Buddhas in the world. I hope you guys enjoy the sights from Hong Kong and a quick overview of all the Taiwanese board games that I picked up at Tokyo Game Market, as well as a game from Emperor S4 Games that I picked up here in Hong Kong. All right, let's go. I'm here with my wife at Victoria Harbor. I'm going to be exploring some Chinese, Taiwanese, and maybe if I'm lucky, some Hong Kong designers and publishers while I'm in town. But just wanted to give you a little bit of the sunny 90-degree and super humid weather here in southern China at beautiful, ridiculously amazing Hong Kong. All right, here we are on top of Victoria Peak. We're on the other side of the harbor now in Hong Kong. As you can see below, I think it's fair to assume that Hong Kong is the ultimate worker placement, area control, and resource management game. I mean, look at this place. It is just jam-packed. Hey everybody, Jason Franks, Games from Gaijin again. I'm here with my wife hiking Dragon's Back Trail. We've crossed Victoria Harbor from our hotel on the Kowloon Peninsula, and we're now at the very top of Hong Kong Island looking out into the South China Sea. Let me tell you, it is not board game weather. I would definitely need to have some sleeved cards out here because I am sweating like a mofo. Hey everyone, hope you've been enjoying a few of the sights and sounds from my trip to Hong Kong. I wanted to take this opportunity to profile some of the games I got from Tokyo Game Market from Taiwanese publishers. So I know I'm making a pretty big geopolitical faux pas that by going to Hong Kong I should talk about Taiwan, but I figure it made more sense than doing it during a Japanese board gaming video. So here goes. While I was at the Tokyo Game Show, I had the chance to meet and spend some time with and play some games with two Taiwanese publishers. Lihei Games over here on the left, as well as Transit Games, these two on the right. So let's start with our more educational and kid-friendly games from Lihei over here. I had a chance to play Circus Puppy. This is a dexterity-based stacking game where you are taking different types of dogs and folding the little dog cards to use as like a claw machine in various fashions to make increasingly high dog towers as if they were performing in a circus act. And by fulfilling the requirement for your turn and building higher and higher towers, you score more and more points. So very cute, very fun, dexterity-based game. Definitely a great choice if you have kids that like to play with the components in their board games. Along that same line, we have Cat Tower, which is almost an identical rule set, but for the cat lovers out there, a much better option. Continuing along the animal trend, Kaiju is a game in which the box is the game. This box turns into a little Godzilla Kaiju dice tower, and by rolling the dice out of your Kaiju tower, an action will be displayed, and all of the players have to do that Kaiju themed action. So you're kind of play acting in this game, and the slowest player to finish the action, whether it be roaring or jumping or various fun activities for the child age group. The slowest person gets a wound, so you take a crayon in the game and you actually draw a wound on that player. And if you ever get 6 wounds, you're out of the game. So you're just trying to be the best monster in Kaiju. Shiba Inu House, I definitely appreciate, as I'm living in Japan now and my neighbors have 2 Shibas. This is a set collection tile laying game. So you're given a goal card at the beginning to build a particular type of doghouse for your Shiba Inu. And by selecting tiles, you're trying to place them in such a way that you fulfill your goal card. And then last, from Lehigh Publishing, we have one of their larger games, Fireworks. This is a dexterity tactile based game again, where you're throwing a big die or a big wooden cube die into a box full of firework tiles, and any that you flip over from the collision you get to pick up and place onto your firework board. The premise behind it, and the reason there's a big cat on it, is apparently the cats in this game have been trained to create the most wonderful firework displays. So you're playing as one of these Hanami cats, trying to smash your die into the tiles and build the best combo point scoring firework display that you can. So as you can tell, definitely a theme in these Lehigh, and I should mention they're kind of partnered with another publisher, Facio. So Lehigh Facio games, they're definitely targeted towards the younger age group. Shiba Inu House won the 2017 Creative Game of the Year Award for educational games. So great for children, great for people who love really cute components and like the components to be an integral part of how you play the game in terms of touching them and rolling them and throwing them and pinching them and stacking them. These games have all of those qualities. Now, for the heavier game lovers out there, we have Transit Games, who were showing off their new game, Chivalry, as well as a very well-reviewed game on Board Game Geek that's been out for a few years now. This is called, I gotta look at the title again because it's pretty long, Taiwan's Most Beautiful Scenery Transformer Box. So Taiwan's Most Beautiful Scenery Transformer Box is a set collection game, but with an auction mechanic. I haven't gotten a chance to play this one yet. It does play up to 6 players and says it only takes 30 minutes, but I'm very excited to try this one just based on how many reviews and how positively reviewed it's been on Board Game Geek. It's got like a 7.7 or something, which is really high for an Asian board game that doesn't get all that much coverage or exposure in the Western markets. The other game that Transit Games was showing off was Chivalry. So this may look like it has a really heavy Euro theme. It's your classic medieval background to a game. It plays 2 to 5 players, takes between I would say, it says 30 to 75 minutes. I would put it more the 45 to 75 minutes. Maybe if everybody was really familiar with it, you could get it down to 30. But the premise behind this one is you're going to lay out 8 action tiles around a home space, and every player has an individual player mat in which they have 3 dice slots, and you get to select what numbers all 3 of your dice start on to begin the game, but the numbers have to add to 15. Then on your turn, you can do one of 3 things. You can draw 2 resource cards. You can spend a resource card in the red, blue, or green pool corresponding to your 3 dice slots to move the number of spaces currently indicated by that die. So let's say your red die is on a 4, you can discard a red card to move your player pawn 4 spaces around the action board, and whatever action you land on, you can use that action. So that action may be converting resource cards, it may be increasing one of your dice, it may be lowering all of your dice by one, and then manipulating your 3 dice, your red, blue, and green one, and then on subsequent turns, discarding different colored resources, you can land on the actions you want. So it's really unique in that every turn, not every action is available. So it's not a true worker placement. It's a resource management in that you have to manipulate your workers, your 3 colored dice, in order to be able to land on the action you actually want to use. Finally, the third thing that you can do with your turn is to satisfy an objective. So that's how you win this game. There are 8 different colors of objectives. The game ends when one person has 8 objective cards. And then the more colors you have, the better your score is. So the maximum score you can get in this game is 8 if you get all 8 objective cards and you have 8 different colors. You could prematurely end the game with 8 objective cards, but only say 4 colors if 4 is the current leading amount. The satisfying objectives might require that you have one of your dice on a 3 and discard 3 blue cards or something of that nature. So you're constantly manipulating your dice, your hand of colored resources to land on the action tiles that you need in order to satisfy the objectives. That probably sounded really confusing, and trust me, it is not intuitive when you start playing, not because it's weird or bad or difficult, but just because I haven't really played a game that has this type of mechanic. It really struck me after I played it at the convention as a super unique offering from a Taiwanese publisher. So I have to say, I'm stoked to have gotten this game, and it's definitely one of my favorite acquisitions from Tokyo Game Market. When I do a full review of this game, I really hope you guys consider picking this up. Chivalry from Transit Games. The last game I want to profile is the one game that I brought home from Hong Kong. Many of you are probably very familiar with Emperor S4 Games. They've put out titles like Shadows in Kyoto, Herbalism, Mystery of the Temples, Sorcerers and Stones. So they're very well established. Almost all of their releases come pre-packaged with English rules now. I've definitely seen them on Western game sites and in Western game stores. You can buy almost all of their games in Japan. But this was maybe their earliest game that raised the profile of this publisher and brought it to the attention of Western board game players. This one is called Hanami Koji. It's a 2-player game. It only takes about 15 minutes to play. It uses a tug-of-war mechanic in that you are trying to attract the attention of 7 different geishas by giving them their favorite object. So that might be a fan or a mirror or a brush or an umbrella. And there's a deck of 21 cards made up of those items. So 3 of the geisha only have 2 of their items in the deck. 2 of the geisha only have 3 of their items in the deck. 1 geisha has 4 and 1 geisha has 5. Every round, you can do one of 4 actions expending that action. You can score a card secretly, placing it face down. You can discard 2 cards secretly, placing them face down. You can show your opponent 3 cards face up, in which case they choose 1 and you choose the other 2 to score. Or you can show your opponent 4 cards face up. You split them into 2 pairs of 2. Your opponent chooses 1 pair to keep and score. You get to keep the leftover pair to keep and score. And at the end of both players taking those 4 actions once each. Sorry, my dog's playing with her brand new toy as well. You can identify who has the most items for each geisha and move the victory point marker accordingly. If any player is able to attract the attention of 4 geishas at once, or collectively score 11 charm points, where, remember I mentioned before the number of items, 3 geisha are worth 2 points, 2 worth 3 points, 1 worth 4, and 1 worth 5, the game will end, with charm points trumping number of geishas. So if one player is able to attract the attention of 4 geisha, but the other player is able to score 11 charm points, that player will win. This game has a ton of depth for how easy it is to learn and how quick it is to play. And though Emperor S4 had a booth at Tokyo Game Market, I did not purchase a game from them, and I'm now regretting that decision, because every convention from here on forward, every time I go to a board game store in Japan, I'm going to be checking out games from Emperor S4, because I think this is a publisher with a lot of creative ideas, beautiful art, and absolutely perfect execution and quality for all of their games. So I'm excited to expand my collection from this publisher. And that's all the games that I brought back from Taiwanese publisher. We had Lihei and Facio, definitely more of an education, kid-oriented, tactile dexterity themed games. We had transit games, much heavier if you're into those Euro and denser, more strategic Western style games. And then probably the highest profile publisher out of Taiwan, Emperor S4, with one of their earliest hits for 2 players. Thanks for checking these games out. I hope one or more of them has caught your eye.